Guys, I don't even think I can begin to tell you how pissed off I am right now. After all the trouble I just went through, was about to uninstall and reinstall my fucking audio and microphone drivers, Shadow Play, aka NVIDIA Share, and then I found out that there was a setting once you press Alt-Z in the new beta version of NVIDIA Share that allows you to change what microphone it picks up. Well, I had no microphone, so I recorded about a good, I don't know, probably 15-20 minutes of what I would consider good commentary about some current things going on in the tech industry right now, just to find out that my voice wasn't there and it was just me going through menus and running around just like this looking like an idiot. So, without further ado, I'm going to get back into it here. I want to first off and start saying this is my next video I'm going to upload into my 4K only playlist on YouTube, showing what the GTX 1070 can do in terms of 4K 60. Now this is the Ultra preset on Rise of the Tomb Raider. It's pretty close to a locked 60. I mean, we'll see dips down to, I don't know, maybe 55. But one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video was because of the PS4 or the PS4 Pro that's coming out here soon, and what players are going to be expecting. I am a Sony fan, I'm a Microsoft fan, I've owned all three consoles. I used to have an Xbox One, but being that most Xbox exclusives are coming to PC now, I figured there wasn't much need, and I sold my Xbox One to a friend at a time where you could get Dark Souls 3 early, so it was worth it to me to sell it to him to make him happy. So basically what I want to talk about though is HDR and the 4K upscaling that this new PS4 Pro and the Scorpio is probably going to end up doing. I think that, you know, let's see, native 4K, that's what we're at right now. As you guys can see, we're at about a locked 60, and in the commentary I was talking about how, you know, from what I understand, from what I've heard from Digital Foundry and a couple other credible sources, is that they're mainly going for upscale 4K HDR, but they're still targeting 30 frames per second. And part of my last video that I deleted because of the commentary, I switched, which I'm going to do right now. Just going to show you what 60 looks like. Most PC players already know what 60 FPS looks like. I mean, and a lot of people are like, oh, you know, like whether they think it's a cinematic thing or whatever. I personally think a higher frame rate also affects the graphic fidelity. The rate at which you're seeing, you know, things move is affecting how you see Laura, for example. So right now you can see her moving and she's very fluid, and we're gonna switch to 30 frames per second lock here at 4K, which, let's just say this is what the PS4 Pro was going to get. It still looks good, but even just from turning the frame rate down, it doesn't look as good. I don't feel like the resolution shown off as good at 30 frames per second. I don't think any resolution is shown off as good at 30 frames per second, and maybe I need to be more advanced and you know, technologically advanced to answer that question, but frame rate is just not how smooth things move. I mean, I feel like it affects the overall picture. And mainly, obviously, when things are in motion, but I feel like I can see a difference even when things aren't in motion. So yeah, coming from console, you know, I owned PS4, Xbox One before I ever owned a PC capable of doing, you know, 1080p 60, much less 4K 60 frames per second. And so, you know, once it became a thing, once console gamers decided, hey, you know, we really can see the difference between 30 and 60 frames per second. People like 60 frames per second. People who get to play 60 frames per second consistently know what I'm talking about. It's very hard to go back to 30 frames per second, even if it's locked. Even if it's a locked 30. But I know games like Uncharted 4 and even Rise of the Tomb Raider on the Xbox One, and Forza Motorsport, or Forza Horizon 2, and the upcoming Forza Horizon 3. I've played all of them, you know, at 30 frames per second, and they feel smooth. 30 frames per second feels smoother on console than it does on PC, and I'm not sure why, but it's still not what I want. Especially after going, you know, to a high-end PC. Now, the value you're going to be getting for the PS4 Pro is much higher. I mean, we're talking about $400 here. I don't know what you want to expect out of $400. I mean, if anyone can make things happen at that price range, it's Sony and Microsoft. They've been doing it for years. I hate to say it, guys, but, you know, there's all these PC budget builds. They had the Potato Masher on YouTube, and they had a couple other ones. You're not going to spend $400 on a PC and get anything close to this. You're not even going to get 60 frames per second 1080p in every game. It's not going to happen. People say it will happen, but it's not going to happen. And you know, you're not including things like, especially if you get a desktop, you're not including a monitor, which you got to buy a TV for your console, but you don't have to buy a keyboard, you don't have to buy a controller, you don't have to buy speakers, and there's just other things, you know, like, yeah, I've saved a shit ton of money over time buying games off of websites like G2A, where, you know, I don't think I've paid over $40 unless, you know, I just really, really want to support. Although I still feel like I'm supporting the devs because somebody bought that key originally, you know, and the devs are going to make enough money off of console players. But we're getting into politics here. What I'm trying to say is, you know, you can get brand new AAA titles on PC for $40. You know, I've probably never paid more than $45 for a brand new PC game or a brand new title that just came out. A lot of times if I pre-order it early enough, I can get it for like $32. And I do that with Green Man Gaming, G2A, CD Keys. The Humble Bundle occasionally has some good deals, and GameSteel is a good website. But, you know, back to the point at hand here, I think that most console gamers would rather have 1080p 60 frames per second. I know that 4K is becoming a lot more mainstream, and the TVs and monitors are becoming cheaper. The 4K TV that I'm playing on right now is an LG 55, I don't know, something. It's like a 2015 version 4K LG 55 inch, and you know, at the time, and I think it still goes for over $1,000 online right now, but I'm pretty sure you can buy 4K TVs brand new now for anywhere between $600 and $1,000, which is a lot cheaper than they were, you know, when they first came out, when I first bought mine. And this HDR, you know, I'll want to check out HDR. I'll have to get an HDR TV or monitor one way or another. And I'd like to see the difference. And you know, is it, they're saying, you know, it's not just going to be the colors, it's not going to be the contrast, it's actually going to help with, you know, detail and graphics, and maybe it will. You know, I was thinking like maybe if I was on an HDR display and I zoomed down into this dark area, well, let me find a better area here. Maybe like I zoom into this like lower area where it kind of looks a little washed out, or you can't really see the textures. Maybe HDR would make you be able to see it better from this distance, or right here you'd be able to see better textures on the tree branch, or, you know, obviously the contrast is going to be higher. There's going to be a larger range of colors, you know, available on the display. But you know, I'm happy with PC gaming where it is now, with my setup, and even not playing in 4K, playing in 1440p, or even still 1080p to this day, I'm very satisfied with. A good game that comes to mind when talking about having to play in 1080p in order to get a solid frame rate on PC is Deus Ex Mankind Divided. I mean, the game on Ultra with no anti-aliasing is, you know, it's a pretty hard hitter, and a GTX 1070 is not going to handle that game at 60 frames per second consistently at max settings. It's just not going to. And I have a feeling that new games coming out are going to push our systems even further, and, you know, we'll see where it goes. A lot of it is optimization, yes. But like I said, if anyone can pull a rabbit out of the hat, it's going to be Microsoft and Sony with their $400 consoles. They're going to get console players, you know, players who aren't going to be willing to spend upwards of $1,000 to $2,000. You know, they're gonna be really happy with what they get for that $400, and I'm really happy for them. And to be honest, I'll probably buy both as well. I want to see where the technology goes. But I'm definitely gonna wait for HDR. I'm gonna wait until the right TV comes along. I rushed when I bought my LG 4K TV, and some better options came out shortly thereafter. Just like when I bought my Alienware 15 laptop, it was like 2 months later, a better CPU came in the same exact setup, and just a couple other things. But and now they have GTX 1070 laptops. I mean, with the full desktop GPU inside of it, it's just unreal where technology is going. Yeah, really, I don't even know why I'm talking this much in this video. This is just supposed to be a showcase of what games the 1070 will play at 4K 60. This is the Ultra preset though. This is not maxed out. I will max it out real quick just to show you. This is completely maxed out at 4K. You're gonna have the Tress FX hair. Let me turn VSync off as well. VSync on PC, I don't know what it is. I hate it. It's not the same as VSync on console. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Here we go. Yeah, super sampling, you know, is another thing that this game supports, and people don't understand that that's not just regular MSAA or SMAA or FXAA. That's literally almost like DSR, or you know, downsampling 4 times SSAA. Right now, playing at 4K, I would literally be rendering this game at 8K, essentially, if I was to enable that. I'm almost afraid to do it. I don't even know if I'll be able to play the game if I do it. Let's see. Oh god, no. I mean, I don't even want to try. Oh no. Nope, can't do it. I feel like I'm gonna break something. That shit's crazy. But back to the whole thing here. This is maxed out 4K, no VSync. On a GTX 1070, you're going to average about 45 frames per second. I'd still play the game at 45 frames per second. It's still very playable. And, you know, yeah. So there it is, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will be back with some more.